Up next on Inspiring Beauty and Believers.
And just loving unconditionally. It's super, super hard to transition for those kids who do transition from the two-parent household, and now they're split between parents, and now there's a new marriage and there's a new parent, and it's a lot to take in for a kid. And while they're extremely resilient, making sure that they know they're loved unconditionally is critical. Supposed to keep going on those notes?
Oh, I thought you were still going with your notes. That segued because I was like, I don't remember that part of the notes. That's good though.
But I do. I said the other parts of my notes is the good you're doing as a parent, or the good you aren't doing as a parent, is a poor indicator of the good you are doing.
Yes.
I think we often judge our effectiveness by what we're not doing, and I touched on that earlier. But I think being the bridge of grace and remembering it's all good. We're all happy to be here at the end of the day. And just loving unconditionally. It's super, super hard to transition for those kids who do transition from the two-parent household. And now they're split between parents, and now there's a new marriage and there's a new parent. And it's a lot to take in for a kid. And while they're extremely resilient, making sure that they know they're loved unconditionally is critical. When I came upon that the other day, the first thing I asked my kids was, do you feel loved? And did you feel loved through all the change? And both of my kids had different answers. My son was like, yeah, I've always known that you loved me and appreciated me. Well, my daughter was like, I really struggled with my identity. I didn't know where I fit in this new family. I knew that I loved Matt, but I knew I didn't want Matt to be my dad because my dad is my dad. And she was afraid of being judged by both of us for loving him in the way that she desired to be loved. And it kind of did tell me that she felt that unconditional love because she was able to give it to somebody else where it wasn't received from. So I think that's pretty much what I got out of my notes in prayer, was the unconditional love and not judging myself as a parent so harshly. I think God makes us parents so that we can understand his love for us to some small, minute detail. We love these little tiny humans, and there's nothing they can do to change that. So making sure they know that is important.
Yeah, because they sure push them buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and they know
all
how to
of
push
them
them too.
This morning going to breakfast, we were trying to find a restaurant that we wouldn't have to sit in for an hour. And my son kept whispering this fast food restaurant. And I was like, no. And if you say it again, you're going to be grounded. And he was like, that's a bad thing. Why? Oh.
See, and just this morning, I just told Brader, stop putting everything in your mouth. He sit there, literally sat on the floor, wiped the dust off the TV stand, and did that. Like I just told him, stop doing that. So they know how to push the buttons. But like you say, the unconditional love,
Right.
that made me laugh from whooping them. You know? And she, like, I don't do, like, I just raise my voice. I feel like my dad's voice is enough. She more of the, you know.
Whoa.
You whoop them more than I do.
Oh, so he just,
this
is out like that.
You whoop them more than I do.
I do. I'm gonna knock him out.
When we first got together, I would discipline our daughter. I would spank her, but I wouldn't do it in a crazy amount or forget what I was doing and just end up hurting her. It was, one or two pops on the butt, and afterwards she'd be like, what was that?
He didn't even touch her. Let's be real. He was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And well, I have got, because that was honestly my first initial, whenever they act up, that's the first thing. I'm like, listen, I'm just gonna go get the belt because I don't have time. But I have gotten a lot better. I just give them a look. I think Micah, he pushes the buttons, but he doesn't push them as much as Braden does.
God.
Braden is our 3-year-old. He is my twin, not by looks, but by personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, dude, like, whew, okay. I won't spank you now, but if it keeps going down the line as you get older, I'm gonna knock you out. I'm just gonna be honest. But I have gotten better to the point where I do communicate with my kids more and ask them how they feel. Of course, Braden's just gonna say, I just want to watch YouTube, but that's not how he feels. So he doesn't understand. Micah, I have learned that from Leo when we became a blended family, to not go for straight like the I don't know what to say.
Mhm.
Don't go straight for the rod.
Right. I don't go straight for the rod. I actually have this conversation like, okay, what's going on? Like, are you just struggling with this, and it's causing you to act up, or are you going through something? And it was more of Micah has a confidence issue. And Micah looks at the way he looks. He's not as tall as his friends are. He's smaller. His hands are smaller. He thinks he has chicken legs. I didn't know where he got this stuff from. So I'm thinking he's just acting up just to be acting up. And after I communicated that with him, it was different. So I've learned that from Leo with marrying him and being together. Like, okay, slow down just a little bit, because it wasn't that bad of a situation. Relax. So he's taught me some things, even though he's never had any kids since we've had Braden. He taught me, like, you need to chill out. So
I think like what Alicia was saying about Tim, when he whooped Ajane, and I think me and you even talked about that, we I guess for men, we tend to go the route that we know, which is let me go get that belt, because that's how my mama did me, like, I don't care how many times you whoop me, I'm not eating these peas. That's just the point. I'm not going to eat the peas, and I always told myself, I would do it different, and I just feel that, like, talk to him now. I'm not gonna keep repeating myself now, but talk to him. And I remember the first time I whooped Micah. Me and Bree was married at the time, and I think I hit him like 6 times with the belt, But Micah is dramatic, so he gonna cry anyway. And I didn't know, like, and this is something Bree taught me, because when I got a whooping, I didn't get no conversation after the whooping. Like, I didn't have to, nobody explained to me, why I had to get a whooping, because as I was getting a whooping, she was telling me why I was getting a whooping.
Did I? That one?
Yes. So I never got that, well, look, babe, this won't happen. You can't do this. So I didn't know that part, So when I whooped Micah, go in your room and go to bed. As long as you ain't crying blood, that's how I was raised, And she taught me that part as far as, go whoop, you whooped him now, go explain to him you love him. And I was like, what?
Because he was, he didn't. He was just gonna just let him go to bed. I'm like, Micah needs that assurance, like, you love him. Like, okay, I love you. I didn't like what you did, and that's why you got a whooping. And go to sleep. And that's I did it. I had to do that. We kind of switch. I'm everywhere, but I had to say that, have a conversation with Micah before that happened. In terms of Leo, he had to have that conversation after it happened. So we kind of worked together with it. The boys don't really get whoopings now. I think it's more of looks.
But Braden is well on his way.
He is. Yes. Yes, he is.
He is well on his way.
We can send him to other people's houses, though, if anyone wants to volunteer.
Listen.
It just, that just to speak on the co-parent part, not jumping everywhere. That was speaking more on the co-parent part,
Right.
And going what Susie said about the unconditional love.
Exactly.
Part, it's just one is going to be different in different households, and for us, you got to find out what works for your family.
Right.
Everything is whatever works in the Lees probably not going to work for, the Ferdinands or, whoever else.
Yeah.
It won't work, and not saying I'm not to say it won't work, I'm just saying it's a good method of what the Lees is doing, but it might not work for us. Because everybody is just different.
Right.
So my recommendation, early, find out what works for you guys early, and then try to build on that. And I think for me, the one foundation that I had in this relationship that I never had in any other relationship was the Word of God. It definitely changed my perspective on everything. And I would have never thought the Word of God would have, a relationship. I thought I had it down pat, So it just, find out what works for you and build on that foundation, And I think one of the things, I think that's what Tim told us. I think we went out to eat at Applebee's early on.
It was Chili's.
Mm-hmm. It was they all the same to me. But that was one of the things early on that, we talked about on as far as that. And I remember on my wedding day, the same thing Alicia said. And that's why, show that you can accomplish things in their lives, If you say you're gonna do something, do it. And that's one of the things, and I joke about it, don't tell, my kids you're gonna, don't tell you're going to do something for Micah this weekend and you don't do it. If you're going to take him to the park that weekend and you don't show up, then I'm going to take him to Disneyland and I'm going to be one up, And that's just how I look at things. Because I'm not going to let him be disappointed.
Right.
And I can't afford to let him be disappointed. I tell this to Bree all the time. God is going to help me be a better husband. But one thing I cannot fail is being a father. Because me and Bree can get divorced today or tomorrow and she can go find somebody else that's a better husband. I would still have to be a father. And that's the one thing that like I said earlier, I just take pride on that. Like I do. I love it. I don't think there's a better job than being a father. What that meant?
That mean we ain't getting no divorce.
Right. Where you going?
No, y'all stuff with me,
She gonna follow you.
But that just always been my motto, man. I love it. I take pride in it. I love it. Micah used to come spend the night with me at 3-4 years old. We watching Halloween. You all know I'm a horror movie junkie, so we watching Halloween. He don't want to watch it with me now because his mama done got in his head. But he used to watch it with me, stay up, play my game. We just always, it was always there between us.
That is so beautiful. So I just want to tie in what Matt and Susie were saying about, children having that divided loyalties and how you have to be cognizant of that when you're dealing with your children, because a lot of times the things that they're doing is because they're trying not to let anybody down. And we all know, even as adults, sometimes we can fall into trying to make sure that everybody is happy. So kids do the same thing. And it is very important that when you have a blended family, you take into consideration of that and you ask your kids how they're doing, because a lot of times they don't really know how to express or process their emotions because they're kids. And so, they don't. And I know sometimes there's different things I've dealt with my kids where they're like, well, having boys, they're like, well, mom, like, I'm just, I'm trying to be a man and I'm not supposed to be emotional. And I was like, who told you that? Like,
Right.
you should have some type of emotion. Anger is an emotion. Like, I was like, but it's okay to let your emotions out and talk about how you feel about things and not be afraid of that. And so having that open forum to be able to talk to your kids and let them know that they can come and talk to you is extremely important, especially in a blended family. And then also letting them know that their place in your life it's still very important. Like the thing that I've heard all of you say, like you still, have that connection with your kids, and you let them know, like, this person is not replacing you. This person is adding to our lives. And so it's important that you let your kids know those things, because again, your kids see somebody else coming into the picture. And especially if your kids are coming in and there are other kids coming into the picture, then they can get really anxious about that. I can't think of a different word. So I'm going to say anxious, that now there are other kids and now they're fighting for more attention from you. And so just making sure that you let them know, and having, those daddy-daughter dates and those mom and son dates and different things like that. It is extremely important for you to have that alone time with those kids so that they know that they're still valuable in your life. I think I pretty much summed up everything. Right.
And for us, my daughter, she loves when I take her, and with COVID, it's been a little hard. Mm-hmm. She loves it when I take her up to Post and go to the bowling alley and go to the diner and get a cheeseburger and fries and, go do 4 or 5 games.
Right. It's that.
And then they come home and argue because it just doesn't last very long.
But she got that quality time. Maybe she's putting on in front of you.
She has said that she initially, very early on, she was like, yes, I push Matt's buttons. I want to know what he's capable of. And I was like, at what point do you stop pushing? And she's like, I never. So I know if she's pushing his, that she's got to be pushing mine intentionally too.
Yeah. They love to do that.
I do want to add because I was telling the boys to be quiet, but the loyalty thing. I remember when we were dropping Micah off in Texas, he was, Leo asked him a question. No, his dad asked him a question like, well, who's your favorite football team? Micah does not like football. So, and he's like, where are you going to go to college? Just randomly, because we were all just outside waiting for them to leave and just having normal conversation. And also you have Leo's side of the family, which was his uncle was right there. And you have his dad's cousin. So you have 2 sides, and Mike and I were just in the middle. So he said, you're a Cowboys fan. So Mike is just looking at him like, I don't even know who the Cowboys are. No, nor do I care. And Leo was like, and him and his uncle were just like, no, he's a Saints fan. So I'm looking at both sides like, he's neither. Because for one, this kid does not like football. And 2, he's not going to choose, because he's not going to, he won't pick a side. We just play with Micah randomly, like, who's your favorite, mommy or daddy? Both. He's not going to choose. He's just not. And so when Susie brought up loyalty, it brought me back to that, because he didn't want to say, oh, I do like the Cowboys just to make his dad happy, or I'm going to LSU when I get out of high school to make his other dad happy, because he loves them both, or he just doesn't want to choose a side. So it kind of put him in an uncomfortable situation where I had to intervene, and I just had to answer for him, because Micah does not like confrontation. Mm-hmm. So he's gonna look at you in a deer in headlights, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. So it just brought me to that when it came to loyalty. So don't
make your kids choose.
Don't. That was was awkward.
And I will ask him next time what school he plans on going to, because
You don't have to. I can tell you exactly where you're gonna go.
I don't know if he's picking LSU though.
He's gonna say wherever my dad wants me to go. I don't even think Mike goes.
As long as he goes to school.
Right. That's it. Mm-hmm.
I always tell him, we joke, and you can go to any school you want to go to, as long as it ain't Alabama. So
I joke and I say, if you get a full ride to Alabama, you going to Alabama.
But I joke, and I think, and I don't know what made his dad ask that, but like I said earlier, I'm not in no competition with anybody. If he want to go to LSU, either he get a full ride or not. He can go there, because we gonna be able to pay for it. So I don't know why he asked that or whatever, the underlying story was.
And bringing another situation, when he was there, when he was in Texas with his dad and his grandparents, his grandmother did give me a call, and she says, I understand why Michael wouldn't want to come back for that long. And I said, well, why do you say that? And she says, because his dad wanted him to say, I'm first, Leo second. Mm-hmm. And Mike is not going to say, okay, I'm going to put you on top. He's not going to say that. So I believe why he didn't have the best time for him being gone that long is because his dad was trying to instill that in him, like hammer it in him, and Michael wasn't getting it, and it was just making his dad frustrated. Mm-hmm. So it put Micah in an uncomfortable situation where he was like, I'm not having fun. This is not fun for me. And they went to the zoo for his birthday. He spent his first birthday there. And his dad called me and he says, Micah did not want to ride back home with me. Or he didn't want to ride with me to the zoo. He wants to ride with my parents. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do about it. I'm all the way in Arizona. So figure it out. Because whenever I give you advice, you think I'm overstepping. So this is where you have to figure out where you are and where you stand in his life. I can't tell you, because when it's coming from me, you're going to think I'm nagging, and I don't want you to think that way, because I'm not coming from a nagging heart. I'm coming from a person that's trying to help you build a relationship.
Right.
And if you take it. If not, don't. But he talks to his grandparents more than he does with his father. And until somebody makes that initiative, it's going to stay as is, and it's going to be awkward, even when you have him.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So, that's it.
Well, does anybody have anything in closing?
I would say for the step parent, if you will, establish a relationship with the parent, so in my case, I'm the stepfather. So I established a relationship with her father. So much so that, in her, those tween years, so from like 9 to like 14, him and her didn't talk. We talk. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about her coming for the summer? Call me. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about how she's getting there, how she's getting back? Call me. She needs a thing? Call me. I got it.
Right.
So just establish a relationship with them, and then be open-minded about the relationship between you and the wife, or so between in your marriage. Be open about your relationship with your children, and be open about your relationship with your children's parents. Be open-minded to it all and let it grow organically. Don't try to force anything, because I think forcing it makes it not work.
Mhm.
Everything that you put in the microwave is not meant to be put in the microwave.
Right.
Right.
Slow cooker
It's
and
like
just let it slow cook.
Right.
Right.
It's like the square peg in a round hole. It'll go
Right.
through, just get a bigger hammer.
Yes.
They,
One thing that I would say is also with the blended families, when a new baby comes, to make sure that you, sometimes the stepchild or whatever you want to call it, give them the extra attention, because sometimes they'll feel like, oh, so there's this new baby, you know, everybody's saying, oh, it's the baby, it's, you know, and they may feel like they don't matter anymore.
right.
So you have to make sure that you include them in everything. Although with us, it was just our daughter for the first, you know, she was the only child for 10 years. So when we did have another child, we made sure that we included her in everything and celebrated every little thing for her. Yeah, we were excited because, you know, we couldn't have, you know, doctors told us we couldn't have kids. So we were excited. We even got pregnant, you know, and that was a big thing to us. But we also wanted to make sure that she felt a part of the whole process. Hey, Essie. Hey, girl.
He's like, no.
Right.
Just woke up.
But yeah, it's very important with having a new baby, to make sure that all the siblings are involved, and just take out that extra time. And if you have more than one, I would say take that extra time to spend one-on-one time with them, just so that they know that they are special, and with having a baby, it doesn't take anything away from them.
Yeah.
Yes. And also adding to what Alicia said, with having another child, also having the families recognize, because obviously they know there is a stepchild involved, not excluding them and focusing just on the child that you guys had together, giving that same love to that child and it not decreasing, because there's times where it does, and this quote unquote stepchild doesn't exist, matter.
Can I ask you a question, Bree? When you say the families, do you mean like when you guys go to visit Leo's family, that they
Right.
include both?
Right.
Okay.
And just as mine as well. But yes, going back to Louisiana, yes, it is. You don't see a difference. You don't. And that's actually very important to me. When they see Braden, they see Micah. His grandfather even said, Micah looks like one of us. And, you know, that kind of made my heart smile, because even though they know that is not Leo's biological child, that's Leo's child.
Right.
And those are Micah's cousins as well as they're Braden's cousins.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a line of division.
Right.
And that's important for any family that's blended. There's no difference.
No difference.
That unity, the Ferdinands include Micah, Braden, Leo, and Brianna. So that's what that's the Ferdinand squad.
That's right.
Right.
I would go back to what Susie said. I believe that was probably the most important thing that you can probably take away from blended families, is showing that unconditional love, even when it's going to be challenging. You have to have the understanding that it will be challenging. You're going to get tested. You're going, and I'm not saying every blended family is going to hear you're not my parent, but you're not my parent is equivalent to I told you to do something and you stump off. To me, that's the same type of disrespect. You're going to experience that thing. And when you do, even in that moment, you still have to say, I'm the parent. I still have to show him I'm the parent and I still love you. And I'm nowhere am I saying don't discipline. I'm a firm believer in that part of it. But you still have to show them to him. And I never thought about that until she said that. And I think that that's the most important thing in blended families, understanding that aspect. If you can understand that aspect of a blended family, then I think success is on the end of it. Because what happens when your own kid does it? Are you going to tell them to get out?
That's what you want to tell them.
Exactly. That's what you want to tell them. And at this, you just got to be like, know what? Woosah. I got to go to the woosah. And then let me show you, I'm still going to love you. I don't know what I just done to you for doing that. Who knows what I done? But I got to show you, I still love you. And if that part is, if you learn that part, if you understand that part, then, it'll work. It has to. It has to.
Yeah. That the couple that when I think of blended families, a celebrity couple are the Russell Wilson and Sierra. Even though she had her, and I remember his mom saying this when he said he was interested in her. I just love them. Sorry, I'm going to talk about them. I just love them guys. His mom said, if you're interested in her, just as much as you're interested in her, you need to be interested in him. So you need to learn him. Even though he's a baby, you still need to learn what he likes, what he dislikes. And seeing them now, you see the Wilsons. You don't see anything else. And don't have a unity. It's a unit. Blended family is just as much as a unit as starting from marriage and then having a kid. It's the same thing. It's just a different puzzle.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's great.
Beautiful.
Tim?
No, I'm good. I don't have anything to add.
Back to you, Chantel.
Thank you. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for being here with me today and this conversation. It has been amazing. I call your marriages blessed and your families blessed. And I'm so happy to see the progression from 3 years to 5 years to 19 years. I thought y'all was already at 20 years. So like I bumped y'all up like an extra year. I was like, okay, so they on 20 years now. But 19 years. It's a beautiful thing. And it is an example to show that blended marriages, blended families, they do work. You have to be willing to put the work in. Like I said, my grandparents were married for 53 years in a blended family. And our family didn't even know it was a blended family. So they do work if you choose to work it and learn one another and learn to accept the children and don't give up and have that unconditional, sacrificial love. So I love all you guys. And I love all you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that great stuff. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.